The White House card is over and is throwing a wrench in the lightweight division. I mean, there's so many options we can go. In this video, we're going to match make all the fights that we want to see following the completion of UFC Freedom 250. We'll break down every fight. Even fucking Kyle Daukaus, the fucking pride of Delco, Philly, is going to get matched up in this one. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to don't fuck Ciryl Gane, but fuck Ciryl Gane. Let's start off with Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje beats Ilia Topuria in my opinion, the greatest win in MMA history, the most shocking upset in MMA history, a perfect game plan from Justin Gaethje. And the sad part is Justin Gaethje will probably never fight like that again. I wouldn't even blame him if he retired, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Here's what I'm doing with Justin Gaethje. Justin, my brother, keep that belt warm. We are coming. Charles Oliveira, we're getting the belt back. It was written. It is written. Charles Oliveira, we are coming. And listen, before you click off immediately this video, I obviously have bias. Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter of all time. He's the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Aiemann makes the most logical sense to get the next title shot. He has a win over Charles Oliveira. But at the same time, the guy would rather wrestle in RAF, compete in fucking street beefs, bang Nina Drama, stream with Nina Drama, then perform in the UFC. He doesn't really care about doing his job. Charles is a massive draw. You know, their first fight had one of the craziest rounds you will ever see in MMA history. We had the build up to that fight where the fucking scale was all fucked up. Charles Oliveira misses weight, bullshit ass scale. Fuck Dana White for that in the commission. Gaethje's wanted this rematch. He said, you know, if he had gotten this belt, he wants those get backs at Max and Charles. Charles is right there. It makes, you know, technical sense that it could happen. And Justin Gaethje has a chance to beat Charles Oliveira. Even though I picked Charles to win this fight, Justin Gaethje could definitely beat Charles Oliveira. And why wouldn't you want to see a rematch? These guys beat the shit out of each other for a round. Iconic finish. You put the BMF and the Undisputed Championship on the line. This is just cinema. It's the biggest draw that you can have in lightweight right now. And just biggest event you can make for Gaethje. And also, anybody saying Ilia Topuria deserves an instant rematch, 0 title defenses, got finished. Same kind of situation as Hamzat minus the finish. You don't get an instant rematch when you're inactive and you lost the fight. You have no title defenses. And again, I mentioned this earlier. If Justin Gaethje comes out here and says he wants to retire, by all means, I think a lot of people would be fine with that. You know, he's an all-time fighter, probably just moved himself like firmly into the top 4 of lightweight all time. Just put off, in my opinion, the greatest win in MMA history. And if he wants to be done, so be it. I wouldn't blame him. You know, why risk fighting, you know, an Aiemann or a Charles again and losing to one of those guys, and then you can kind of going out on a loss. Who knows? Again, I still think he's live to beat Charles or Aiemann. I know a lot of people are say, Arman, he beats Justin Gaethje. He would just wrestle the guy. He's not a fucking idiot like Ilia Topuria. Well, listen, that Charles win was 2 years ago. Charles is vastly improving. What has Aiemann done since fucking beating Charles? Beat Dan Hooker. That's fucking it. He's done absolutely nothing. He's done jack shit except beat up on shitty ass Dan Hooker, who's just a human punching bag. I'm the BMF. I want to fight that BMF. Why did I just do a Russian act? Let me fight the BMF. I want to fight everybody. And then just gets fucking punched in the face. That was a terrible Australian accent. I can only do fucking Volk. I can't do Dan Hooker. But he gets his ass kicked in every fight. It wasn't really that impressive. Also, Gamrot beat Aiemann Zahabi. He beat Aiemann Zahabi. Charles has a finish over fucking Gamrot. So we could throw Charles over Aiemann if we want to. I'm saying I just want Charles to fucking beat Justin Gaethje and get the belt back. But either way, Gaethje's the fucking champ. I'm still stunned. Makes no sense how Justin Gaethje at 38 has figured out how to consistently use the jab and beat up on a guy who a lot of people thought was unbeatable and would never lose in the UFC. But shit, that's the world we live in. Justin Gaethje's the fucking champion, and I want to see him versus Charles. Again, this is the biggest fucking draw that you could have in the division. Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira. If you want to do Aiemann, it makes sense. No rematch. There's no world where we're getting Ilia Topuria back in there with no rematch. And he's not going to come back for 9 months. I expect Gaethje to kind of be back in there by the end of this year, and he could fight Charles or an Aiemann Zahabi, and it makes perfect sense. Either way, Gaethje versus Oliveira is what I want next. Moving on to Ilia Topuria. Ilia suffers a pretty brutal loss where it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets back. And I think kind of the only logical fight, I guess you're like, Cage Doctor, you could do Aiemann versus Ilia. Listen, I don't think Charles versus Justin is really going to happen. I think Aiemann kind of makes the most sense. So I guess we'll just do Ilia versus whoever wins, Patty versus BSD, because this is a hilarious picture, by the way. Like, I can't believe I'm having... If you would have told me 48 hours ago that Ilia Topuria would lose to Justin Gaethje and I'd be having talks about him fighting the winner of Patty fucking Pimblett versus BSD, I would have called you absolutely fucking insane. This is really just a hilarious image. Patty did better against Gaethje than Ilia did. I mean, Patty was right all along. Scousers don't get knocked out, you know? But on a serious note, I'm really interested to kind of see what Ilia Topuria's career looks like and how he bounces back from a loss like that, where, you know, it's one of those losses that could derail people's career. I'll point to kind of some other past performances, past fights in UFC history. Like when Ronda Rousey got her ass kicked by Holly Holm, she seemed untouchable, was on top of the world, and then gets absolutely shut down and destroyed by Holly Holm, and it was never the same. Got her ass kicked by Amanda Nunes after. Not necessarily comparing Ronda Rousey to fucking Ilia Topuria, because Ronda Rousey has no skills whatsoever. She could throw people and put in a fucking Kimura or an armbar. That's about all she could do. She sucks. Ilia Topuria is very good still, and he's going to knock the fuck out of BSD or Patty Pimblett. But it'll be interesting to kind of see. You know, I think it either goes away where it goes one of two ways. Either he bounces back and looks rejuvenated, doesn't really have the pressure of being an undefeated fighter anymore, and can, you know, find a way to kind of get back to knocking people out. Or this is a loss that really wanes on him. The damage he takes is too much. Justin Gaethje looked like he took a metal bat to Ilia Topuria's face and bashed it in 100 times, and he can never really bounce back. But I think he's going to bounce back. He'll stick to his game plans. You know, there's shades of McGregor versus Diaz 1, where I believe Conor, that was up 2 weight classes on short notice. Whatever. You know, that one's got a little bit of a special circumstance. This fight, Ilia losing to Justin Gaethje is not nearly as much of a cope or an excuse. He got his ass beat fair and square. But no more 18-0 for Ilia Topuria. No more Islam. You're going to have to fight Patty versus BSD, whoever wins this fight. Just the aura of Ilia is so god. Like, it's going to be hilarious, because you can't have, like, regardless of what happens, regardless of who Ilia is facing next, you know, unless it's Justin Gaethje, he's not going to main event a fucking pay-per-view with no title. There's no chance. So it's just insane. I'm still stunned. Like, even doing this video, I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing? Because this is absolutely insane to be talking about Ilia Topuria fucking fighting Patty Pimblett or BSD in like a co-main of some pay-per-view. But listen, Ilia versus Patty in a non-title fight is the funniest shit ever. You know, guys, I think Ilia's gonna kind of have to humble himself and realize maybe I shouldn't be throwing fucking parties celebrating victories that haven't even happened yet. You know, BSD. And also, as much as I keep talking about, Patty versus Ilia Topuria, that'd be a fun fight. BSD runs through Patty Pimblett, by the way. We're getting BSD versus Ilia Topuria. And also, BSD, he's going to run through and smudge Ilia. And we're going to get BSD fighting Charles for the belt sometime in 2027. It's going to be fucking awesome. Either way, I'm excited to see what's next for Ilia. I want him to bounce back. I want to appreciate greatness. And get rid of that stupid fucking haircut. Just go back to being, practically bald. And stick to a game plan and don't try and aura farm and get clip farm people anymore. The Patty buildup would be insane, though, if you got Ilia versus Patty, or BSD versus Ilia is also just hilarious. Like, how the fuck is that fight happening? But whatever. Let's move on to Ciryl Gane. We're going to talk about Ciryl Gane and the obvious fight to make is Tom Aspinall. I don't really want to spend too much time on this one. We have to live in a world where Ciryl Gane is an interim champion, looks so sharp against Alex Pereira. I was getting people commenting on my TikToks, cope. The only part of that video that I'm on Instagram, if you want to go check it out, there was no cope. I just pointed out that he's a cheater. He lands 100, back of the head shots to Alex Pereira, and he does this in every fight, whether it's eye pokes, nut shots, back of the head shots, and finishing sequence. He just can't have a normal fight. So credit to him for not getting an eye poke. But either way, September, October in Paris, let's get this done. Tom Aspinall's ready. I want Aspinall to spin this dude's head back so badly and kill him. And Tom, you better win this because I cannot have Ciryl Gane as undisputed champ. And I saw some dude say, we should lethally inject Ciryl Gane and he should die. I think that would be too quick and painless for Ciryl Gane. I want this guy to do like a Hunger Games style thing where we let him out into the woods and we slowly hunt him down over the course of a couple days. So he has to feel real fear and fucking, scared and just, it's eating at him and he dies that way. A slow death. But listen, Forget the fouls. He's looked really sharp in his last two. Was beating up on, like, stinging Aspinall with the jab. Beat up Pereira. Has looked really well. The Pereira performance makes you more confident that Ciryl Gane could beat Tom Aspinall if they rematch. This fight builds a lot of storyline. Again, because Ciryl Gane nearly ruined this guy's fucking career. It adds a lot more juice to the fight. And now we know, oh shit, Ciryl Gane's actually pretty good. Just destroyed Alex Pereira and was looking good against Tom Aspinall. Just builds the fight further up. I'm really excited for this one. And hopefully we get it soon. I want Tom Aspinall back so badly. But Ciryl Gane could definitely win this, you know. Taking off my bias cap, Ciryl Gane can defeat Tom Aspinall. It wouldn't shock me whatsoever. Let's talk about Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira looks like shit, looks stiff, looked old, and just gets absolutely dominated by Ciryl Gane. And Josh Hokit called him out. Now listen, I guess we're doing Hokit versus Alex Pereira. It is weird to me because it's one thing to lose to Ciryl Gane. At least Ciryl Gane is an established heavyweight, has fought a lot of big fights. If you lose to Josh Hokit, you lose so much aura and prestige. Like, again, even though Ciryl Gane's a cheater, he's a real heavyweight. He's been here for a while. To lose to a guy who calls Michelle Obama a man, that would be embarrassing. Like, you could just see Josh Hokit blitzing in, catches Alex Pereira, takes him down, and then just finishes him there. You know, I do want to point one thing out with Alex Pereira. It's really hard to be a fucking triple champ, by the way. That's why you see it, you know, never fucking happens. I think Alex might have just bulked up too much for this fight. I think he should have came in lighter. He weighed 3 pounds more than Ciryl Gane at the weigh-in. Just looked stiff, slow, and old. And maybe that's just what he is. Maybe the Ankalaev fight, the second one, was just the last we're getting of, like, a good Alex Pereira. And a lot of people have talked about a move back down to 205. Maybe it happens, but you've put all this weight on. Are you really going to move back down to fight Oberg? I don't really know. He's old, and he kind of, you know, he gets all fat and blobbed out to move up to heavyweight. And we've seen guys go back down after fighting up weight class. Like, for example, Max, when he fought Justin Gaethje at 155 for the BMF, moves back down to fight Ilia. Just look, you know, it just wasn't the same Max. He gets nuked out by Ilia. And the buildup would be fun. Hokit obviously wants this fight. They don't really like each other whatsoever. I think Pavlovich is also a legit option. Like, Sergey just bombs, punches, and I think Pereira is just much better, and that's a winnable fight for him. And at least if he loses to Sergey Pavlovich, it's like, oh shit, this is like a real fighter. You know, you don't really lose too much prestige. You could just retire off of a Sergey loss. A Hokit loss, and it's not to say Josh Hokit sucks, but just everything around Hokit, like the gimmicks, the dumb press conference shit. If you lose to this guy after saying, Shama, your mama, and Shama, these nuts, and Michelle Obama's a man, that's absolutely brutal, and then you're getting knocked down on the GOAT list a lot. And if he wins against Josh Hokit or Sergey Pavlovich, then you could just put him up against Aspinall after he kicks Ciryl Gane's ass. So either way, I think that's where we're getting Alex Pereira versus Josh Hokit or Pavlovich. I also would have blamed Pereira if he retired. I said that, like, after the Ankalaev fight. If he had lost that, I wouldn't have blamed him if he retired. Just because he's old as shit and he's, you know, he's already accomplished so much. I really think becoming a 3-division champ is just so hard. But whatever. We'll move on to some of the other fights. Let's talk about Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley dominates Aiemann Zahabi, stops us from that terrorist ever entering the top 5. I think really the only fight you can do is Sean O'Malley versus really Petr Yan. I put Merab here too, but it's like they're not going to do Sean O'Malley versus Merab 3. So it's really Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. Him versus Yan is kind of the fight to make. You know, this kind of gets fucked up, I guess, if Merab beats Yan, but then you could just do O'Malley versus Yan and then Petr Yan and then just do Umar versus Merab too, you know? I mean, just like some bullshit like that. But I think I'm pretty confident Petr Yan's going to beat Merab in the trilogy. I just think Merab's nose is just fucked and Petr Yan could get like a doctor's stoppage TKO. But either way, this rematch between Yan and O'Malley would be sick. I think it's the biggest fight you can make at bantamweight right now. Obviously, you run the trilogy back first, then once Yan destroys Merab's nose, it's over. They have some history together, you know, controversial first fight where O'Malley might have arguably lost, depending on who you ask. I think he might have won. And obviously, you know, O'Malley versus Petr Yan 2 is infinitely more exciting than Merab versus Petr Yan 3. And I like Merab. He's a local guy. You know, I stand up for all my Serra-Longo guys, but I'd rather see Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. It's just a lot more fun. But I think this is just the easy fight to make. You do Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. This brings a lot of fucking eyes to the division. Sick striking fight. O'Malley is going to have to deal with, you know, Yan mixing in the wrestling like he did in the first fight. It would just be absolutely sick. And I'm not an O'Malley Glazer, by the way. I feel like all white dudes kind of get grouped into these O'Malley Glazer things. I kind of used to hate on Sean O'Malley for doing a little too much, like trying to be like McGregor. But I always appreciated his skills. I always thought he was really fucking good. I just think it was a shame he ran into Merab, and Merab was just kind of the perfect weapon against him. You know what I mean? Moving on, let's talk about the loser of that fight. Aiemann Zahabi. Just a fucking... I hate Aiemann Zahabi. But listen, Aiemann Zahabi was on a 7-fight win streak. All pretty much boring decisions. It was fraudulent. I get it, you know. But he deserved to step up and fight against a guy like O'Malley. And he ended up getting his ass kicked. So let's give Aiemann Zahabi a nice bounce back for working all, you know, his way up in the UFC. And, you know, he lost, you know, a big fight, but let's give him a winnable one. Psych, we're giving you Payne Talbot. You're getting fucking knocked out. You know, nice jump up in the rankings for Payne Talbot. He can knock this dude out, and then Aiemann Zahabi can retire. I have really no clue where Payne Talbot's been. I think he's been DJing like random MMA events in California. It's time to get him back in the octagon and kill Aiemann Zahabi. Nobody really wants Aiemann Zahabi in the top 10. He just runs around throwing leg kicks. Shit footwork, a lot of just weird shit. He'll smudge you up against the fence. Does nothing fun. This is an easy win for Payne Talbot. Somebody might say David Martinez fighting Aiemann Zahabi. Who the fuck wants to see David Martinez fight Aiemann Zahabi? Like, that would be like the shit they would put in the main event of a fucking Apex card and you want to kill yourself. Seriously, that would be so fucking boring. Let's do Aiemann Zahabi versus Payne Talbot. Payne Talbot's getting a highlight reel finish. That chin of Zahabi has now really been cracked. And Payne Talbot hits fucking hard. He could finish you. So let's do Payne Talbot versus Aiemann Zahabi sometime later this year. Let's move on to Derrick Lewis. Now listen, I was saying Derrick Lewis should fucking retire. But I think we're going to see one more Derrick Lewis disaster class in the octagon. And we're doing Derrick Lewis versus Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. Now listen, Walter Walker might make more sense here. It'd be funny to watch Derrick Lewis try and deal with a heel hook, and maybe he flukes up a classic KO against a Brazilian, because that's all Derrick Lewis knocks out is fat Brazilians. And you might even say, Tai Tuivasa's on a 7-fight losing streak. He just lost to Louis fucking Sutherland, mate. Why should he get back in the rankings? He brings views. Everybody knows him. He's funny. He's fat. I like watching Tai Tuivasa fight. It makes me think, shit, if I blobbed up, I would kick Tai Tuivasa's ass. But the title run still needs to happen. And if you lose the 2026 Derrick Lewis, you should be killed. You should be shot on the spot. I think Derrick Lewis should just retire. It's pretty clear it's over, the way he just hunched over against Josh Hokit and just fell over and fucking hit the canvas so hard there was an earthquake felt in Washington. Jesus, I almost sneezed there. DC. But Tai Tuivasa versus Derrick Lewis, just two fat slobs going at it. Let's let it. I want to see something. Let's see Derrick Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa too. Let's move on to Mauricio Ruffy. Now they won't. If you look at the rankings, like they're not going to give Moicano or Hooker. They're right there. Gamrot, I don't think they would do, because Gamrot, I think, also deserves the fight up, and I think Gamrot could just smudge Ruffy. Maybe he rematches BSD in the future, or Patty. If he loses the BSD, they could do Patty versus Ruffy, but I feel like they wouldn't do that either. I think the UFC is going to push Ruffy because he's kind of McGregor light, and he's got a lot of sick KOs, whether it's, Bobby Green, Rafael Fiziev, Michael Chandler. I think the Holloway fight makes sense. I've seen a lot of people say this, and there's really no other option, in my opinion, where win or lose for Max Holloway, he's probably locked out of a title shot, and who cares what happens in the McGregor fight? Just fucking do this. Holloway can win this, definitely. If Ruffy wins, they can conjure up some way to get this guy the next title shot once he enters the top 5. And here's the thing with Mauricio Ruffy. I don't want to make it sound like I hate him. I really actually do like him. But everybody on the fucking broadcast, Joe Rogan, DC, John, they're like, this guy could be a future champ, man. And it's like he's knocking out Michael Chandler. It's not really that impressive. Michael Chandler's absolutely shit. We'll talk about him in a second. He sucks. Michael Chandler is terrible. So is that really that impressive a win by any means? They're just like, wow, this guy hits at all these different... It's like I probably could hit Michael Chandler a couple times. He'd still knock my ass out, but I bet I could sting him with the jab and defend a takedown. He was shooting takedowns from 8 feet away. But that win really showed us nothing. It was such a dumb fight. I can't believe we had to watch Michael Chandler get slimed out by Mauricio Ruffy in front of millions and millions of people. I thought that was sad. But either way, Mauricio Ruffy, Max Holloway, this fight makes sense. I'd be really excited to watch this one, and let's just get her done. Let's get Ruffy into that top 5, or Max Holloway knocks this dude out. So who cares? Let's get that one done. Holloway gets the fight, kind of two McGregors, gets to fight Conor in July, and maybe if he wins that or loses that, he gets to fight Ruffy at the end of the year. Let's move on to Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, it's over, buddy. Just retire. I mean, seriously, who wants to watch this guy get killed again? It's really sad. He's lost 4 in a row. Dustin, Charles, Patty, Ruffy, got finished in 3 of those. Hasn't had a win since he fluked up that fucking head kick on Tony Ferguson. And let me tell you something, because I saw this take floating around Twitter. That version of Tony Ferguson that fought Michael Chandler, that was piecing up Michael Chandler, keep in mind. If he fought Michael Chandler today, he would have fucking killed him. I'm just saying. And the funny thing is, like, even in the Patty fight, I felt like it wasn't even that bad. Like, in the grand scheme of things, he looked so much worse in this fight against Ruffy, where he's shooting and missing takedowns from 8 feet away, just tumbling around looking like a fucking idiot. I also think we were robbed of him putting his gloves down, crying, and retiring at the White House. I think that would have been absolutely beautiful to see Michael Chandler cry and retire at the White House. But it's over for him. It's okay. Again, a lot of people want to say, you hate Michael Chandler. I love Michael Chandler. There's nothing more than I like with Michael Chandler than the build up to the fights. And the fights itself, it always delivers. He's always doing something goofy, whether he's knocking out or fluking some shit up. I love Michael Chandler. I love how delusional he is. I love his personality. I love the way he fights. It's absolutely terrible. Everything about it is terrible. He has no clue how to use any of his skills. But whatever. Michael Chandler, it is time to retire. Let's move on to Bo Nickal. Because Bo Nickal has looked really sharp in his last 2 against Rodolfo Vieira and Kyle Daukaus. Those are decent wins. I'm not going to say they're good wins, but he looked very sharp in them and dominated those fights for the most part. 2 back-to-back finishes for Bo Nickal also. He didn't go to fucking decision with these guys. And if you look at kind of like the mid guys outside the top 15, it's like, do you really want to see Bo Nickal fight Vicente Luque? Let's just give him Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze sucks. He's not good whatsoever. He's not levels above Bo Nickal. I know you see the 14th ranked next to him. You're like, Bo Nickal shouldn't be fighting somebody ranked. The back half of some of those dudes at middleweight, and even like the guys just creeping on the outside of middleweight, outside of the top 15, are absolutely terrible. Again, you don't need to see Bo Nickal, fight Vicente Luque. It's a dumb fight. Roman Dolidze looked like shit against CLD, looked like an idiot, like throwing dumb spinning kicks that he's never going to land. Got run through by Fluffy. He sucks. Let Bo Nickal run through this guy. That's all I'm saying. Let Bo Nickal beat the shit out of Roman Dolidze, because it's going to happen. I'm a believer now. He's got the overhand. He's going to knock out Roman Dolidze. I'm telling you, we're going to be on a 3-fight finish streak. I'm fully bought. This is the problem with Bo Nickal. Watch, as I'm becoming a kind of a pro Bo Nickal guy, he's going to disappoint me at some point. Maybe it's not this fight, but maybe it'll be his next one against a guy, whoever it is, whether it's like a Cannoneer or somebody I don't really care about. Watch him fucking lose that fight after. I'm fully bought into Bo Nickal. But whatever, he's looked good his last 2 fights. He'll beat Roman Dolidze's ass, this fucking hairy-chested looking motherfucker. Let's move on to Kyle Daukaus. Now, a lot of people want to feed Kyle Daukaus to some kind of prospect, like a Teba Gauthier, and I want to see him fight a prospect, but a Teba Gauthier would absolutely kill him, and I think it's a dumb fight. I think a Teba Gauthier has got to see a level above, or at least a little bit better than Kyle Daukaus. Let's give him Susakayev, man, and here's why I think this one. Susakayev kind of sucks, but he's still dangerous. Like, he beat the Jordan Santos, beat Eric McConaughey. Like, he's beaten nobody, but he at least gives Kyle Daukaus, like, still a name. And it gives Kyle Daukaus a name, at least, that he can beat. And it gives, Susakayev a name he could beat. Like, this is at least the 2 guys that if you watch the UFC, you know who they are. And Daukaus can most definitely bounce back and win this one. I think I would probably go with Susakayev just because I think, Kyle Daukaus is a little bit too chinny. And definitely after getting knocked out by Bo Nickal in the first round, you're really worried. And Susakayev's just weird. He fights so odd, and he's a little bit he's just weird to watch fight. I don't know. I think he would beat Kyle Daukaus, but you never know. The Darce Knight can always fluke up a Darce choke, and, we'll all be celebrating. Let's go to our last 2 fights that we're going to talk about. Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes wants to move up. I could get boring with the matchmaking and say, let's do Diego versus Yair. I don't know where the fuck Yair Rodriguez is. He's sitting on Twitter trolling Ilia Topuria. You're the last guy on earth who should troll Ilia. You lost to Brian Ortega with 1 fucking leg. You suck, Yair Rodriguez. Nobody cares about you. I also think Diego versus Charles for the BMF, that's kind of a fun fight too. But if he's going to 155, he's at least got to fight a name. I'm not saying the biggest name, but somebody who's established in the division. Let's do Gamrot. This is a really interesting one to me because Gamrot shouldn't be fighting any more dumb prospects. I know if you're kind of a gamer, part of the gamer army like myself, you might say Gamrot deserves a higher level, step up than this, like an established lightweight. It's like most of the division is pretty matched up unless they do Arman versus Gamrot and then Charles versus Justin. They could do that. That gives Gamrot a good chance. Him and Arman have already fought. But it's like I could definitely see the UFC doing this, and it's fun because Gamrot's hard to finish. He's an elite level wrestler, and he does move around well. in the octagon. He just moves a lot. It's not really like he's going to hit you that hard either. And Lopes has sick BJJ, so even if he gets taken down, you kind of see, oh shit, could he submit Gamrot off his back? He also can't cut off the cage, so it'd be fun to kind of watch him try and track down Gamrot as he's skipping around the cage, like flicking a jab out there or throwing some dumb overhand or hook that really isn't going to do any damage whatsoever. It's a fun fight. Let's do it. I would really want to see this one. It's one I really haven't seen anybody talk about yet. And Diego Lopes versus Gamrot, it's got name value. It'd be pretty fun. Let's go to Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia gets knocked out by Diego Lopes. Was looking really sharp on the outside with front kicks, jab, straight punches, and then he tries to get into the pocket like a real American and dies against Diego Lopes. And I think we're going to give him an American wrestler, a guy 12th ranked, I believe, in the featherweight division. Let's give him Aaron fucking Pico. And now here's my thing with this. Steve Garcia doesn't really seem like he has that good of a chin anymore. We know Aaron Pico doesn't have a chin whatsoever. Pico can wrestle. Both these guys can fucking scrap. Both hit very hard. Like nuclear power on both these guys. Garcia can definitely win this. All it takes is one straight punch. I think he would kill Aaron Pico. But Aaron Pico can also rely heavy on the wrestling and has slick boxing. This is a really fun one. A lot of people want to see, Steve Garcia versus Kevin Vacheios. I want to give Steve Garcia something slightly more winnable. Because I think Kevin Vacheios would absolutely kick his ass, in my opinion. And Aaron Pico very well could too. But I think Steve Garcia, chin a little bit better. And I think he just hits so hard, he would just put Aaron Pico out. But I have no clue. I'd actually have to watch to do more tape for this one. But again, those are the fights I want to make. I made this video kind of late, so I apologize. But either way, let's do Steve Garcia versus Aaron Pico. I think I've said, if you're still watching the video, I think I've said either way 100 times, and my mouth's getting all fucking dry. Whatever. Let's do Pico versus Garcia. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The doctor is signing off. Fuck Ciryl Gane.